Welcome back to another video. My name is Henrik and today we're going to be looking at the SUV coupe from Polestar, the Polestar 4. The third car in its current lineup, theoretically its fourth car. And we're going to look at everything that this car offers. Its price, its capabilities, its driving performance and everything that you need to know about it. So make sure to stay tuned and let's get right into it. So you can get two different variants for this car. You have the single motor long range and also the dual motor long range. We have the single motor long range and with that you're going to be spending 57,900 euros. In Germany right now you get a discount of 4,000 euros, so typically this would cost you 61,900. That, however, is only going to be available until the November 15th of this year, so you're going to be spending 4,000 euros less if you want to get the car right now. The car is supposed to be fairly Polestar typical. It's going to be a little bit more wider, very long wheelbase, but otherwise fairly slick and aerodynamic. The car is going to have a CV value of 0.26. Hyundai Ioniq 6 is going to have 0.21, that's the top of the class. Then you have the Volkswagen ID.7, for instance, of 0.23. We have some aerodynamic touches down here with, well, to cool the battery, and also down here a little bit of aerodynamic touches to go further down to the side. The car is going to have a fairly good light system as well, because they're trying to separate a little bit from Volvo, and you can see they have a split design in the center here, so you have basically your Thor's hammer, but they're divided in the middle. The car is going to, with the Plus variant, if you get that, for 5,500 euros extra, get the Pixel LED lights in here, so matrix LED lights, which are very nice at night, and you'll also get a Harman Kardon sound system, and then a couple of things in the back, and also 22 kilowatts charging speed. If you now take a look at the side, the car has a lot of cameras. For instance, you have one down here, you have one on the side, one on the front. It's going to be fairly safe, and you have 360-degree camera. When it comes to the rim, the cars are going to start from 20-inch rims up to 22-inch rims with a performance package that you only get if you get the dual motor long range edition. We have the 21-inch rims on here because we have the Pro package. With the Pro package you get that, and also your safety strap is going to be in yellow basically. These are also on Pilot Sports, or actually no, Michelin Pilot Sports, and they are fairly big, so 21-inch rims, you might notice that when you're driving. The car is going to have a very big wheelbase, like typical from a Polestar, of 2.99 meters, or 99.99, basically infinitive amount of nines, so basically 3 meters. Otherwise a fairly nice looking design, rear tinted windows, 500 euros extra. Down here the side skirt's also going to be in the color of the car, which is the storm color, 1,300 euros extra. You can choose between 6 different color variants. And you can also get a gold color, which looks pretty cool. But otherwise, this is down here also going to cost you 1,000 euros extra. Otherwise, it's going to be in black. Like I said, fairly aerodynamic. For instance, you have a very sleek looking design here to hold your automatically foldable side mirrors. You have foldable in door handles, which you can grab, and they obviously close if you put there. Keyless go in the front and also in the back, or keyless entry. When it comes to the battery, you can see on the bottom right there, it says 100 kilowatts an hour. That's what the car is always going to have if you get the dual motor or the single motor. 100 kilowatts an hour, net usage of that is going to be 94. If I open the car now, we can also open this in the back, and that's where you're going to be able to charge the car. It's going to open automatically with up to 200 kilowatts because it uses the 400 volt architecture, 10 to 80% in around 30 minutes. Hyundai Ioniq 6, for instance, is going to get the 800 volt architecture. Obviously, this is still on the Geely platform. The new 5 and 6 variant are going to be on their own kind of platform, and therefore they might get the 800 volt architecture. We'll have to see in the future. If you also get to the single motor, you're going to get 272 horsepower with 343 newton meters, and if you, with rear-wheel drive, 0 to 100 in 7.1 seconds, and also top speed of 200 kilometers an hour. If you get the dual motor, you're going to get the exact same top speed, 0 to 100 in 3.7 seconds. Like I said, the fastest Polestar that has ever been brought out, but still slower than the EX30 from Volvo. But in general, a very, very fast car if you get that, with double the amount of horsepower because you get an all-wheel drive system and 2 of those 200 kilowatts drivetrains. And one other quick thing, if you get the performance package, you're also going to get Brembo brakes in the front. This car is kind of special because it's the first Polestar car and the first car that we've reviewed which doesn't have a rear window. Why is that? Well, because the rear window would have been so small that they just decided, well, let's just yeet that out of the way and let's just put a camera on the top and also on the bottom to just give you a better view at the back. Otherwise, you wouldn't really have a good view at the back. So this is maybe even a little bit more safer and also gives you a very big difference when it comes to sitting in the back seat. Otherwise, looking fairly round in the back here with some fake touches here just to get the air flowing a little bit more over onto the side. And you're also going to be able to tow 1,500 kilograms with this car if you get the full electrical towing hitch, which is going to cost you 1,720 euros. If you get the dual motor, you're going to be looking at 2,000 kilograms of load capacity on there, or tow capacity. You do not open it down here, but there's a button right down there. You can see we also have a full LED bar going through there, and you actually get a fairly big compartment for your loading capacity. 526 liters up to 1,536 liters, quite big. And you also have a little bit of storage space down there, where you have a very big kind of section down below where you can put your charging cables in there, for instance, as well. You can flip over the rear seats if you want, and you can also take this down right here, so you can actually see through. So if you have dogs, for instance, in the back, they can see through. Or if you want that completely privacy in there, put it like that. You can see the loading height is actually fairly high, so you're going to have to lift them up fairly big, but still, in my opinion, a very big boot for what you're getting with this car. So in the back, it is fairly luxurious. Great quality on the side, and you also have air vents up here and down here, with a little bit of an infotainment display down here, which is available with the Plus package. You can see we can change the songs, for instance, we can skip them, we can turn the lights off or on. We can also change our heated seats in the back, and also our electrical rear seats, basically. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see there's also a button up or on the center console, and you can move the seat forward or backwards. And if you move it backwards, you really have like a lounge chair in here. Me being a 1.80 m tall, you can see I have plenty of space. The seat that is in front adjusted to me. The only thing that I will critique a little bit is that the seats are fairly firm down. So my foot room is basically only available for my, my big, what is it called? My big toe? Yeah, my big toe. And that's the only place where I have a little bit of room. Also 2 USB-Cs down here, and the center console is quite big, but you don't have any cup holder, so you can't flip this thing over in the middle. And you also don't have a center tunnel, but you get a very good amount of privacy because you don't have that rear window, and therefore you're just completely blocked off. And you have this massive panoramic window which comes standard on every single model. You can get it in also a smart function for 1,900 euros extra. But even if I go up like this, I'm still below the panoramic window, and that is just incredible because it is so big. So in general, a very comfortable seat in the back. In the interior, and let's quickly look at the quality first. The quality is fairly solid, and what you expect for the price range as well. You have this white interior. You can also get the black edition of this, so the charcoal variant. We also have the Nappa leather upgrade for the seats in here, which allows us to get massage function, also cooled seats. You only get that in combination with the Plus package. We get this massive display. It's also the first time that a Polestar now gets a horizontal display instead of the vertical ones. 15.2 inches, very big Apple CarPlay, and I do also think Android Auto is wireless. Also ambient lighting in here, for instance, which looks really good at night. We're going to turn that on, obviously, and you get all the information about, well, the cars, about the Earth or the Mars, whatever you want. And in the center here, you can also have some favorite shortcuts. For instance, your sound warner in Europe with your 1 km over speed. You can turn the sound system for that off. You also have lane assist, which you can quickly turn off, and also quick bands to adjust, for instance, your heads-up display, turn it on or off. And also on the steering wheel, you have these buttons. You don't have any buttons where you can see something, but physically they are there. So if I press on left mirror, because I do want to adjust that real quick, I have to go on here and then press this down, and then I can, for instance, change the way it looks. It does go fairly quick, so you have to be fairly accurate when doing it, but that looks fairly good. We also have the digital cockpit, not the digital cockpit there, but the digital rear mirror, because we don't have a rear mirror. If you look out the back, we don't have a rear window, which is new on this car, and one of the first cars that doesn't have, well, a rear kind of view out, but you can theoretically also turn it off, so you can see your rear passenger. If you have kids in there, for instance, you can have that as your rear view. Otherwise, like I said, seats, you can have the massage function here, sounds. It feels pretty good, fairly intensive as well, lumbar support, and you can also change the position electrically. Otherwise, the interior, you have the steering wheel with the 12 bespoke, well, knob up there, and also a fairly typical like Volvo kind of steering wheel. Fairly good in your hand, and you also have to adjust it electrically, so a little bit unfortunate. Lots of buttons in here. For instance, YouTube you have in there, you can select that and you can look up your favorite YouTuber, Non-Stop Driving. Obviously, always subscribe to them if you haven't already. And otherwise, you can also download some more apps. So you can, for instance, have Amazon Prime in there, which is nice. Also some little games and a lot of other things. But you have Apple CarPlay, so usually I just connect that and then I'm good to go. One thing I don't like too much is, well, these again, just like in the Volvo and the Volkswagen ID.7 are manual, so you have to adjust them manually. But software isn't too great so far. Hopefully there's going to be an over-the-air update soon, so you can theoretically adjust them normally. If well, let's change this real quick. There we go. There it was for a second. There you go. You can change the vents in there, and there's also one hiding up on the top right corner. There you go. Okay, it's a little bit funky still, so hopefully there's going to be an over-the-air update soon. But otherwise, you put it on auto, and that's about it. Let's now drive the car, and this is going to be my first time driving it, so you're here with me on my first impression of the car. Gear knob is up here. Down here you only have it for your music. Turning radius of this car is 11.6 meter with a very big wheelbase of, well, 2 meters and 99, so almost 3 meters, which is fairly big. I'm going to have to wait a little bit here now to turn around. Let's quickly also show you the rear view camera. If you look here, 360-degree camera. You can also go down here and look around it, and cameras all the way around it, which is nice. Especially when you have big rims like we have. Oh, that's still the... Sorry. Okay, now I gotta wait for the car to come again. The blinker sounds also very quiet. If you listen to that, it is also directional. So if I go left, it's gonna be on the right side there, on the left side. So let's drive now. We also have the Plus package in here, which is gonna cost you around 5,500 euros extra. You get Harman Kardon sound system with that, Pixel ID lights, and a couple of other things. You can also get the Pilot package in here, which gives you the function to have travel assist in here. The travel assist in here, like you already mentioned, isn't the greatest because I've turned it on now at 70 kilometers an hour, and travel assist is usually that it keeps you in the center, not lane assist. Lane assist does that, it scans, okay, left side is the lane, right side is the lane. You can see right here, it's trying to adjust a little bit to the left, go to the right, and it doesn't work too well in my opinion. And for that, 1,500 euros might not be your best bet to get, but you theoretically would have it. Nice little R8 there. You can also opt for the Pro package, which we have, which gives you, well, this little, well, golden touch on here, the Polestar typical orange gold kind of stitching, and also 21-inch rims, which we have on here. The only bigger option you can get is the 22-inch rims with the performance package, and that gives you a couple of other things which do look pretty cool. And there is another Polestar 4. You can see it from the outside in the golden variant. It does look pretty cool in my opinion, especially the rear. Without the rear window, just looks very interesting. And a golden color is something that makes the car just stand out quite a lot. Otherwise, steering feel, you can adjust a little bit, but fairly comfortable so far. If you go down here and we go into our drive, we can have the steering feel on light, and then you can see it's a lot more direct and just gives you the most light feeling, but it's maybe even a little bit too light, doesn't feel too comfortable. Firm is fairly firm, but not too much different to the standard, I'd say. The standard is already fairly on the more firmer side, but I really do like the steering wheel. It feels fairly good. Maybe the position a little bit high, but you can obviously adjust that electrically. Otherwise, steering also feels fairly decent in your hand. Surrounding sound, or sound from the outside, is also fairly good isolated. We haven't been driving too fast now, but still fairly decent sound, especially because you don't have big side mirrors and you have a very cool looking bottom part of that side mirror. They don't produce too much wind noise, maybe only a little bit of road noise, but that's about it. Engine noise you obviously don't have because it's an electric car with 100 kilowatts an hour battery, which is very big with 94 net usage of that. And with that, currently at 89%, we're supposed to be getting a range of 448 kilometers. Claimed is 620 with WLTP from 100%. You can also go down here and have a couple of different views, for instance, from the car. And the other thing that you can change, if we go press on this, we can have adjustments. If we go into the range value, we can also change it from the dynamic over to the standard certified one. And then if we go back, that's going to give us a claimed range now of 531. That is basically WLTP, what they claim with 620, and then just calculate it down, but not dynamically adjusted to what you're currently consuming. What we are currently consuming, we can look at if we go down here in our trip meter. Over the distance that we've been traveling now for 53 minutes, 28.1 is our average speed, was 16.3 kilowatts an hour, which is not bad. Claimed is around 17.3 up to 18.1, so fairly low, and we're definitely below that. We're obviously not driving on the Autobahn, so not a combined consumption right now, but in general a fairly decent consumption if you're just driving in the city. And that's what the single motor long range is for. Big battery, fairly efficient motor in there. So you're going to be looking at a fairly high range, and if you're using this for country roads, even longer distance, that's going to be plenty of enough range. On the Autobahn, you're probably going to be looking at the highest spectrum, so 20, 22, something around there if you're traveling like 120. And with this single motor engine, we also get 272 horsepower and 343 Newton meters. That's going to give you an okay kick, not too much obviously. If you want that, you're going to have to be looking at the bigger variant, which if we do get a chance to drive it later on, I'll hopefully put a little bit of a video on there. You get active dampers in there, which are going to be a little bit different, and just a lot more Newton meters, 640 something or right around there, and just a lot more horsepower as well. That's going to get you from 0 to 100 in the quickest Polestar edition ever in 3.7 seconds. And then accelerating. It's a very smooth acceleration. It's not like you get that instant punch, but it's more of a gentle acceleration. 7.1 seconds from 0 to 100 with a top speed of 200 kilometers an hour. A little bit weird. This almost every Polestar gets 210. The most powerful one only gets, or the quickest one only gets 200. Don't know why exactly it did that. Quality-wise, even up here, very, very nice quality with this like suede fabric. Feels very nice. In general, I would personally also, I do like the white in here, but I'm not the biggest fan of white interiors. But I think this looks pretty good because it's like that typical like snow white. It's not that beige kind of white. This is a very good looking white in my opinion, but black would just be a little bit nicer in my opinion. Sound system also sounds fairly decent. You can change the surround settings, so you can have it very far in the front or have it as a surrounding feeling. And the view at the front, it's a very sloped kind of angle when it comes to the window. And the window is a little bit more on the lower side, like very slanted, but still good view out. Headroom might just be a little bit lower if you are using a GoPro like I am, but otherwise you have this panoramic window in here, which gives you plenty of headroom. You can also get that in the like smart function for another 1,900 euros extra. But so far, I don't have much to complain about when it comes to the driving. You can also change one pedal driving in here. If you go up here, for instance, you can have one pedal driving on, and then if I go, for instance, slow down, it is going to completely stop the car almost. It's going to take obviously a little bit. But on the bottom, you can also turn off the sound warning for your speed warner. So what is my final verdict on the Polestar 4? Well, I think they've done a fairly good job when it comes to the design and really put a good job into it, especially when it comes to the rear window. Well, not a rear window, but the rear fake window, I'd say. Design looks good. You do have quite a lot of extras which add up on the price quite quickly, and therefore a fairly expensive car if you think about it. But still, you get a very big battery in here with 100 kilowatts an hour. And if you want more performance, you can definitely choose that car with the 2 engines or the 2 motors then producing almost at 544 horsepower, which is quite ludicrous. Otherwise, very comfortable in the inside as well. Great quality inside. Maybe a little bit too minimalistic in my opinion, and the software still needs some updates. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.